Hey, hey, hey. Hold on. Let's do this again. Hey, hey, hey. You know what day it is. What day is it? It's Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. You know, Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with Tuesday Tea with Tuesday Tea with D. Hey, boo, hey, it's your girl, your personal life coach, Detra Trueheart, your life purpose generator and purpose provoker, here with another dose and serving of Tuesday Tea with D. And I'm excited about today's conversation because a lot of my conversations um, come from personal places or personal experience. And a lot of times, maybe they come from conversations from clients or my inner circle sessions or my incubator sessions or life in general. And so today's session is brought to you based on a personal conversation. Give me 1 second. I just want to move my mic up just a little bit just to make sure that you are getting all of the sound here. And it's kind of back. And so I just want to make sure you can hear. And I'm sure you can, but I still wanted to make sure that you are close up and personal. All right. So, with that being said, today's conversation is a really good conversation simply because I think it will help give perspective maybe to where you are in a particular space as far as life is concerned. And it's called Adjustments and Seasons. And if you've been with me for any amount of time, then you know that I talk a lot about seasons, knowing what season you're in, making adjustments, that sort of thing. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And really, just as a reminder, I feel like as we are in different seasons, you will find that you will have to make adjustments, right? And you'll find me saying this multiple times. And I find myself having that conversation with private clients specifically because a lot of times the conversation that I'm going to have with you is something that the Holy Spirit may, pull out and highlight for me to ask or even to mention, especially if there's a struggle, there's some resistance, there's maybe like a mindset block, certain things that are happening, right? And so, with that being said, before we even get into that, let's get into this tea here, right? This is actually organic lemon balm. This is one of Auntie Tab's teas. Bring love to the table. Now, this is one of those soothing teas, so I'm not sure if I even should be drinking this right now, but I've got some actually lemon in here. I normally squeeze lemon in, but I have a little small lemon wedge in, and I feel like letting it sit for a little bit, letting it marinate for a little bit was, the thing that I needed to do because it got a little, the lemon is lemoning, so don't mind me over here. I'm just trying to make sure all the stuff is good. But with that being said, let's talk a little bit about what this week's conversation, or who I should say, what it's being brought to you by. And so, as you know, I've been talking about my Get Unstuck and Get Started 90-minute strategy session for the high functioning, high capacity, high performing woman of faith. Go to trueheartspeaks.as.me/get started. That's trueheartspeaks.as.me/get started for my Get Unstuck and Get Started 90-minute strategy session. I hold space for 5 of those every single month. And I feel like, if you know that you're in a space and what you're doing is not working, then you really need to have a conversation with me. You really need to make the time and make the investment because you don't want to be in the same space in another 3, 6, really another 30 days, right? But another 3, 6, 9, 12 months thinking like, man, I should have made the investment, right? And there's a saying, and I can't remember how it exactly goes, but it says something like, a year from now, you'll wish you started a year ago. Right. And so there's some things we really can't do on our own. There's some things that we really need someone from the outside to be able to look in and give different perspective from where we are. And most of the people who come to me, come to me from that standpoint. Some of them come because they're like, listen, where I am, I need somebody who can call me higher and who can help me step into the full expression of who I am. And so we don't spend 90 minutes on that. I mean, obviously that's more of a long-term coaching conversation, but there's some things that literally I have been known to do in 90 minutes that literally can kind of break some things off of you. And so if you're in a space where you're stuck, where maybe you're feeling stalled, maybe you've hit a block, maybe you're at a mindset block and you're really not sure what's really causing you to move in a particular way, I would suggest that you book the call. The call's $500. And once you click the button, click the link, it'll take you to where you can make your payment, book your link, and then voila, we're meeting together via Zoom. So with that being said, let's get started with this conversation. And I've got some notes here that I wrote down that I want to be able to share with you. And I'm really excited about this conversation around adjustments and seasons. And make sure you're sharing this. I'll say this in the beginning now, and I'll share this midway at the end, not midway, but at the end. Make sure you're sharing these messages. I really feel like, because sometimes I go back and watch my own videos and really just to kind of see what I need to be working on, how I need to be getting better, if there's something that I want to do different, if there is a conversation that I want to have and I'm like, ooh, that's, like I'll pull something out of what I've already shared. But if I'm being blessed by my own stuff, I know that there are more people who would be blessed by these conversations and what I've been sharing, that to some extent, if you just take what I've been sharing, you can literally like get out of your own way. You know what I'm saying? And stop settling so that you can show up for yourself in the same way that you're showing up for others. But, if you need more assistance, then you can get that. But like I have some 300 videos, 300 plus videos here on YouTube. And I think for my Tuesday Tea with D, I think there is at least, I'm going to make this number up, but I know it's the numbers between 30 and 50. Like I've been doing this over the last maybe like 2 years now. And I want to say that like even what I've been sharing each week for the Tuesday Tea, if you just go through the playlist of the Tuesday Tea with D, which I have here, it's a blessing. And so if it's been a blessing to you, send a text message to someone and say, hey, check this out and let me know what you think. Like every single week, like my challenge to you is pick 3 people to share this with. Make sure they're liking, right, commenting and sharing it with other people, but also make sure that they subscribe to the YouTube channel, because that also helps me. It helps me get exposure and it helps YouTube put these videos out to other people. So let me just take a sip of tea before I move into our conversation for today. So we're talking about seasons and adjustments. And what brought this conversation on, and if you've been with me for any amount of time, you know that if there's something that I'm dealing with or have dealt with and God reveals it to me in any particular way, I normally bring it to my tribe because I know somebody is dealing with it as well, because I now understand that we don't go through things for ourselves and we're also not the only one. And so that's a nugget for you just right then and there. If you're going through something, yes, you got to walk through it. Yes, you got to learn the lesson, but I'm sure that it's not just for you. It's probably for somebody else. And then the other thing is, not only is it, for you, but like there's probably somebody connected to you who needs to hear it. And for you to realize that you're not the only one, right? You're not the only one going through what you're going through. You're not the only one having the thoughts that you're having. You're not the only one having certain questions or concerns about a specific thing, or, things that you talk to God about. You are not the only one. And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation. And so my life is completely different than what it was about 3 or 4 years ago. And I'm just now kind of settling into that change and just now realizing that where I am and some of the resistance that I'm feeling and some of it's not necessarily uneasiness, but like I know something is different. I recognize like that it was because I was basically trying to operate in a space that I'm no longer in. And so my schedule is different, my time is different, my life is different. However, I was kind of planning my life in a way that it had been like 4 or 5 years prior, right? 3, 4, 5 years prior. And I can't really tell you when the epiphany happened, but I started to recognize that um prior to the space that I'm in now, was adjuncting. I was an adjunct instructor. I was working in ministry on salary, which depending upon where you are in ministry and what you know about ministry, like a lot of people don't get a paycheck working in ministry, and I did. The other thing was I was running my nonprofit, my girls program, which technically, if we were running it, we'd be in that season right now. And so every Saturday, I'd be meeting with them. On Sundays, I'd be running children's ministry. On Wednesdays, I'd be running youth ministry. During the day, depending upon those specific days, I'd be teaching and still running my business. None of that is happening. Only thing that has been consistent is now me running my business, which is not a bad thing, right? But when you think about the changes that are happening in your life, right? And so I've had to move a couple of times, and I've had to make some adjustments within those moves, and realizing that in the season that I'm in, first of all, I'm not in the season that I was in. That's the first thing. I'm not in the season that I was in. And so my question to you is when you're in a space and things, you're feeling maybe some resistance, you're feeling like stuff is like it's not what it used to be, it doesn't seem like it used to be, and you're trying to figure out like what's the connection. I want to ask you, have there been some adjustments, have there been some changes in your life, have there been some life changes, some job changes, some ministry changes, maybe some relationship changes? Like, have there been some changes in your life where you're used to operating in a specific way that you no longer have to operate in, but you haven't really made really the mental adjustment that that's no longer where you need to be, and it's okay, right? And so for me, there was some resistance and there was even some frustration because I was still trying to move as though it was before the change occurred. And I didn't realize it, like realizing that like you had a whole lot going on back then, and you technically don't have all of that going on. Like, you're in a new space with your business, with your life, like different things are different. And I want you to be in a space where you're aware of this question. Are you aware of the season you're in? And has your life shifted into a new space, but you're still operating in the old space? I'll say that again. Are you aware of the season you're in? And maybe you're not aware of the season you're in, but you're aware that you're not where you used to be. Can we agree on that? Like, like there's some shifts, right? And so maybe it's not a literal shift where maybe you have not moved, maybe things have, you have not had a change in maybe your job or a change in responsibilities, but maybe it is a figurative move. Like, mentally, you're in a different space. Mentally, you're not where you used to be, right? Spiritually, you're not where you used to be. However, you have not made that full adjustment, right? There's not that full alignment into currently where you are. And so it's as if you know that there is a change and an adjustment that has been made, but you have not shifted with it. This is good to me. I don't know if it's good to you. And so think about where you are, think about what has changed. Think about, and identify how you've changed. Like, have you changed? I know I've changed, right? I'm even in a space of exploration and evolution, right? There's a new level of me. Like, I feel like I am a caterpillar in a cocoon, and I'm in a space where I'm developing into this new season of being a butterfly and really trying to figure out and navigate this thing. And so, how are you able to identify maybe how you've changed? And you may not necessarily be able to identify that just yet, because you haven't even identified the fact that things have changed and you've been acting like things have been prior to the change. Like, you've been still in that space. And guess what? There's nothing wrong with that, because that is what happens when we're on autopilot. That's what happens when we tend to, how can I say it? When we tend to get caught up in habits and rhythm and routine, and we don't take a step back to evaluate and reflect what's actually really going on, it's literally like we're just moving, right? And we know that there's a change, we know that there's a shift, but we haven't figured out how to shift with that. And so maybe there's been a change in your situation. What has changed in your situation? Are you trying to pour new wine into old wineskins? And so biblically, when people try to pour new wine into old wineskins, the old wineskins had already been stretched from the old wine. And so when you pour new, they don't have capacity for the new wine, because the tightness of it, it's loose now. Right? There's been an adjustment that has been made. And so when you pour new wine into an old wineskin, the stitching is not strong enough to hold the new wine. Thus, it causes the wineskin, the leather, to break and to burst. And so I'm feeling like a prophetic, like, just, I'm going to keep going with this Tuesday Tea with D. But sometimes things are falling apart because you're trying to put new wineskin in an old space. It's not working because you're trying to put something new, something, revived, right? Something refreshed into something that is no longer. And so there has to be an adjustment that has to be made. There has to be a shift that has to be made. There have to be some changes that have to be made. I got to take me a sip of tea because I didn't know this was going to get this good. And so here I ask this other question. Are you trying to operate from a season of busyness when you are now in a season of grace, flow, ease, and rest? Are you trying to operate in a season from a season of busyness when you are now in a season of grace, flow, ease, and rest? Or it could be the opposite. Maybe you've come out of a season of grace, flow, ease, and rest, and now it's time to put the pedal to the metal, and you still kind of like, just going and flowing and all the things, when there are some things that you literally, you gotta hammer that thing out. Like, we don't have time for you to be pausing and thinking about it and and ruminating over. No, it's time to move. And so what adjustments need to be made as you shift into different seasons of your life, different minds? What mindset shifts need to be made? What physical and emotional shifts need to be made? Do you need to get reacquainted with yourself? Which is something that I'm doing, because this next level of me, and next week we're going to talk a little bit about that, the different yous that there are. But as I'm stepping into this new version of who I am, there's some things that I have to leave behind. And so for you, maybe some things in people, maybe places, some mindsets, some things that you do, some ways that you speak, like there's some things that have to be left behind in order for you to step into this new season of you. And so this is why quiet time, this is why pauses, and most importantly, having a sensitivity to the Holy Spirit, having an ear to the Holy Spirit, to be able to tap in and be able to say, okay, I need you to show me what's really going on here. When you're consistent with your quiet time and you're consistent with the pauses of life, when you allow white space and you allow think time and processing time and reflection time, then it gives you an opportunity to pay attention to when things are adjusting, and also to pay attention to when there's resistance and frustration. And sometimes you got to lean into the frustration as opposed to leaning back and running away from the resistance and the frustration, because it's in that you begin to see that maybe what you're doing is out of season. Maybe how you're moving is out of season. Maybe how you're thinking, my goodness, is out of season. Maybe your language is out of season. Maybe your community is out of season. And so what kind of adjustments do you need to make in this new season? Do you need to be moving differently? Do you need to have a new level of conversation and community in this new season? Do you need to reinvent and restructure how you live and work? Like, what are the things? And you got to, and granted, maybe that's why you need coaching. You need a Coach D in your life to be able to ask you these questions, to be able to put these before you, to make you think about a thing. And let me just tell you that sometimes the coaching, I can give you these questions, but if you're not going to do the question, sometimes you need coaching for me to say, okay, so let's process that. And I can ask you on the spot, what kind of adjustments do you need to make in this season? And we can work through that, because sometimes you'll look at these, you'll look at the questions, you'll listen to the questions, you'll listen to this conversation, and then you'll go on about your business and you'll still be dealing with resistance and frustration. You'll still be in a space where you're not actually doing the inner work that is necessary for you to be able to operate at the highest version of who you are, because you're still trying to put new wine in old wineskins, and you're wondering why they keep bursting. You're wondering why things are not coming together. You're wondering why things kind of fall apart, simply because you have not taken the time to pay attention to the fact that maybe you are in a new season and there are some adjustments that need to be made. I know. So I'm going to pause there because I've given you a whole lot, can I just say? And I want you to take some time. There were a number of questions that I asked. I want you to take some time to journal those questions. And if you find yourself in a space where you're like, I really don't know that I don't know how to answer these questions, or I really do need somebody to support me and hold space for me while I answer these questions, because I understand that the answers are hard, right? They're hard because there's some stuff that I know that I need to do, and I don't know that I could do it by myself. And so that's why you need to book the 90-minute strategy session. And if you feel you need more, then let's have a conversation around, doing a 3-month coaching program or a 6-month coaching program, so we can kind of work through and get you into a space of working through the adjustments and adapting right to the new season and moving in spaces that allow the highest version of you to be in those spaces. So I hope that today's tea was good tea for you. It was good for me. And so, yes, I hope that today's tea was good for you. It was good for me. I am really excited about this new season. And even for me, the adjustments that will need to be made for me, this season that I'm in, and how I need to show up and who I need to show up as, because she is different. And let me just tell you, and again, I'm going to talk about this next week. So just make sure you are here next week. Next week's conversation is going to be talking about future me versus current me. I'm just going to tell you that. And then we're also even going to talk about present me. It's going to be a really good conversation. And so what I really would like for you to do is just take some time to think about what I shared, and, and be okay with the fact that anything that changes grows, and anything that changes, it grows and it evolves. And so if you're feeling some resistance and some discomfort and some frustration, it could just mean that you're growing. It could just mean that you're evolving. It could just mean that the change that's happening is necessary for what you desire. And so what you desire may require a different version of you. What you desire may require a different version of you. And if you continue to try to be who you were in that old wineskin season, it's always going to bust wide open. I'm just saying. So I'm going to leave it there because y'all know I could go. And so I will say this: if this was what you needed, make sure that you let me know in the comments. Make sure that you send me an email, send me an inbox. Like, just let me know that these messages are speaking to you and they're causing you to stretch. They're causing you to step in to who you've been called to be, causing you to get out of your own way, causing you to let your light shine, causing you to be salt in this world, because we need you. We need you shining bright. We need you no longer dimming your light. We need you to stop hiding. Okay? And so do that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, comment below, and share this with 3 people. Literally hit the share button and send this. Share it on your Facebook page, share it in your Instagram stories, share it in the YouTube stories if you got a YouTube channel, or share it on LinkedIn, share it on Pinterest, share it wherever you are. Right? TikTok, but also send a personal text message to 3 people and say, you got to watch this. Let me know what you think. because I really want these messages to get out. Do you hear me? I want people, I want God glorified in all of this. This is not about me. And so when he gives me something, I know that it's going to bless the people who watch and listen to the messages that I share each and every week. So I hope you enjoyed this week's Tuesday Tea with D. And I want you to, I'm going to put this up just so you have it. Make sure that you book your 90-minute strategy session with me, the Get Unstuck and Get Started 90-minute strategy session at trueheartspeaks.as.me/get started. trueheartspeaks.as.me/get started. Let me just tell you that at some point, you are going to have to make the investment for the up level. Anybody who was considered a GOAT, which is the greatest of all time, had a coach and probably multiple coaches coaching them, supporting them, holding them accountable, pushing them, challenging them to show up at the highest version that God created them to show up as. And I'm just going to tell you, you are not going to be able to do this alone. And so I would love to be able to support you, but don't think that you can do this by yourself, because there are going to be some blind spots that only your coach will be able to see. There are going to be some things that your coach can see that you can't see, because while you're in it, your coach is on the outside watching you and seeing what you're doing and then helping you to make the necessary adjustments in order for you to show up as your highest and best self. So I am excited. I'm going to come back and listen to this as if I did not just share this message, because it was really good. And again, I pray that this was a blessing to you. I pray that you take what you need from this. And if you need support, I want to support you as a high functioning, high capacity, and high performing woman of faith, because what we do is big. How we show up is big. And we need support that's just as big to help us in those, navigate those spaces when sometimes the resistance and the frustration seems a little bit heavier than normal. So with that being said, I will see you next time on Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. Come on, Tuesday Tea with D. See you later.